Good morning. I didn't mean to wake you. Did you sleep well? It's a beautiful day outside. I thought I would get an early start on the housework. I hope it's not too much trouble. There's breakfast waiting for you downstairs in the kitchen. Oh my, you're so cute when you first wake up. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that out of line for me to say? Please forgive me. I wouldn't want to upset you, especially not on my first day of work. I'm very grateful that you allowed me to come here and work for you. There's plenty of work to keep me busy, but I must say, your presence may become somewhat of a distraction to me. You're very handsome, you see. My sincerest apologies if that's inappropriate for me to say. I really am quite pleased to be at your service. Anything that you need from me, please let me know. I'll cook all your favorite meals, make sure your clothes are always clean and pressed. I'll tend to the house. I'll do my best to be the proper maid that you deserve. I hope to spend more time with you. Oh, before I go, you have a bit of hair out of place. Let me get that for you. Did that feel good? Oh, would you like me to do it again? I'll keep going if you ask me to. Okay. Can I tell you a secret? I'm very happy to be working here. Thank you so much for joining me on my trip to the market today. It's such a beautiful day outside. The sky is blue, the breeze is nice and cool, and the warm sun feels so nice on my skin. I'm really glad that you could join me. You really didn't have to come along if it's too much trouble. I don't want to bother you. Either way, I'm very glad that you did. I really enjoy spending time with you. I've got to gather some things so that I can prepare tonight's meal. Onions, radishes, carrots. I'll need to find the butcher as well. Only the freshest cuts of meat will do when it comes to your meals. I remember you telling me about all of your favorite foods, and I can't wait to make them for you. What's that? Oh, no, it's no trouble. I'm here to serve you, remember? I just want to make you happy. There are so many people out today. I'm worried that we might get separated. I don't want to step out of line, but do you think that maybe we could hold hands so that I don't get separated from you? Really? Oh, thank you. Come on, let's go. It smells so delicious over here. There must be a vendor selling grilled meats and vegetables. Oh my, they look so good. Beef, chicken, onions, peppers. No wonder it smells so tasty. I can't wait to get back home and make some delicious food for you. Here we are, the vegetable stand. Hello, ma'am. Could I please get 3 onions, 2 large radishes, and a bag of those carrots? Thank you. Let me give you your... Oh, I'm terribly sorry, but I have to use my hand to get the coins out of the satchel. And it's just, you're holding my hand quite tightly. I'll need you to let go for just a moment while I pay the merchant what I owe. Here you go, ma'am. Thank you again. There we go. Now I have all the vegetables that I need to prepare tonight's meal. We can hold hands again, if you like. There. Now we can't get separated. Let's go on to the butcher shop so that we can get the cuts of meat that I need for tonight. All these people look so happy. Look at the families. And all the little children laughing and playing. I think that it would be quite nice to have a family someday with someone that I love. Oh, I'm sorry. That was strange of me to say. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me for saying such strange things. I hope that I haven't offended you. Really? Oh, thank you. I hope that I didn't make you uncomfortable. It's just that I've never met anyone that I've ever had feelings for. Well, until... never mind. No, I'm fine. Oh, no, I'm not blushing. I feel okay. I promise. Please, let's talk about something else. I shouldn't be discussing these types of things with you anyway. It's not my place to talk to you about my personal life. My job is to serve you and care for you, and that's what I'll do. I'm glad that I can make you happy, and that's all that I need. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm squeezing your hand too tightly, aren't I? Oh my, please forgive me. It's just that you were holding my hand so tightly earlier, and it felt so nice. I thought that if I held on tightly, that you might hold on tightly again too. That's probably silly of me. See? When you hold my hand like that, it feels so nice. Thank you. Oh, here we are. The butcher shop. Hello? Yes, I'd like a pound of this one, and then half a pound of this one. Thank you. I need my hand again, please. Just for a moment. Here you go. Oh, thank you. These look so good. Have a nice day. Okay, let's go. Oh, I should have asked before grabbing your hand. I'm sorry. You must think I'm so irrational. Please forgive me. Does it make you happy when we hold hands? You were smiling earlier, so I assumed that it did. And I really want you to be happy, so I thought you'd be okay if I held your hand whenever we walked. It does make you happy? Oh, I'm so glad. Well, now I have everything that I need to prepare tonight's meal. We should head back home. I can't wait. I can already smell how good it will taste. The spices, the meats, the vegetables. I have something in mind for dessert too, if you like. What's that? Oh no, I couldn't possibly eat with you. It isn't my place. It's my job to serve you after all. Really? it would make you happy? Then, I guess, of course. That would make me happy too. Let's hurry home. I can't wait to get started. Thank you so much for going with me to the market today. I'll remember this trip for a long time. And I hope that we can make many more trips like this in the future. Oh, hello there. You're just in time. The Thanksgiving feast is almost ready. I hope you're hungry. I'm just finishing up chopping some of the onions to go on top of the green beans. And don't worry, the turkey is almost done cooking as well. Whew, it sure is warm in this kitchen. You don't have to wait in here, you know. You're welcome to relax and enjoy yourself while I finish with the busy work. Yes, I know that it's just the two of us for Thanksgiving, so there isn't much else for you to do. But you're not obligated to stay in here with me while I prepare the food. You want to stay in here and watch me cook? That's strange. But I won't argue against your wishes. This is a special day after all. I'm honored that you asked me to spend the holiday with you. Thank you again for your kindness. Alright, if it wouldn't be too much trouble, would you mind grabbing the turkey for me? The turkey and these green beans are the last items that need to be taken out into the dining room. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it. Alright, here we are. Please, have a seat. Oh my, you want me to sit next to you? I suppose I could. I mean, it is just the two of us here after all. There's not much sense in sitting so far away from each other. In fact, I suppose it would be rather rude of me to sit all the way at the opposite end of the table. What can I serve you? Here, I'll list what's on the table. Just point at whatever you'd like me to add to the plate. Okay, there's turkey, ham, roasted duck, dressing, mashed potatoes, gravy, green beans, cranberry sauce, sweet potato casserole, collard greens, freshly baked dinner rolls, macaroni and cheese, glazed carrots, roasted Brussels sprouts, candied yams, and deviled eggs. Yes, I know that it's a lot of food for the two of us, but with the way that you were going on about all of the traditional Thanksgiving Day dishes that you enjoyed, I couldn't bring myself to not make any of them for you. After all, Thanksgiving Day leftovers are the best kind of leftovers, you know? Okay, let me make you a plate. Now eat up. But be sure to save room for dessert. I'll bring those out after we finish with these. What would you say that your favorite Thanksgiving dish is? Oh, me too! Well, actually, to be honest, I was always quite fond of the roasted game hens that we used to have back in the village where I grew up. They looked like little miniature chickens. They were so cute. The other children and I would pretend that we were giants as we would eat them, and our parents would often scold us. Oh, you have a little something on your face. Let me get that for you. there. All gone. Are you enjoying the food? I wanted everything to be absolutely perfect for you. I'm glad you like it. I took extra care to make sure I roasted the turkey perfectly so that the skin would be crispy on the outside, but the meat inside would be tender and juicy with a lot of flavor. Thank you. I gave it my best effort. I'm glad that it turned out well. Another dinner roll? Of course. Here you are. Oh, what did I make for dessert? Well, I realized that I had forgotten to ask you what you wanted for a Thanksgiving dessert, so I just prepared everything that I know how to make. Let's see. There's pumpkin pie, chocolate pie, apple pie, cherry pie, pecan pie, sweet potato pie, vanilla sponge cake, cheesecake, fudge brownies. Oh, and freshly made sweet whipped cream. Whenever you finish eating, I'll go bring out whatever sweets you desire. Oh, which kind is my favorite? Well, I'd have to say that I'm partial to the vanilla sponge cake. In fact, I even bought fresh strawberries to go with the sponge cake. If that sounds like something that you would enjoy, I have regular plain strawberries, and then I also prepared some cut strawberries that I let soak overnight in a white sugar glaze. The glazed strawberries are simply heavenly when paired with the homemade whipped cream and vanilla sponge cake. I know it's not the most traditional Thanksgiving dessert, but it certainly is delicious. Can I refill your drink? Here you go. Brr, it's getting a little chilly in here. I'll have to be sure to go and stoke the fire once we're finished with our meal. You should sit by the fire after you finish eating so that you can keep warm. Oh, of course I'll sit with you, if that's what you wish. You're finished eating? Did you save room for dessert? Oh, wonderful. What can I get for you? Perfect. You're going to love it, I promise. You wait here in the dining room. Sit back, relax. I'll be back with your sweets. The perfect ending to this Thanksgiving meal. Thank you again for letting me share it with you. Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house, not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama in her kerchief, and I in my cap, had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from the bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave the luster of midday to objects below, when what to my wandering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer, with a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be Saint Nick. More rapid than eagles his coursers they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they meet with an obstacle, mount to the sky. So up to the housetop the coursers they flew, with a sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. And then, in a twinkling, I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head, and was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes how they twinkled, his dimples how merry, his cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard of his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying his finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew, like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night." It's a beautiful day outside. Such a perfect afternoon for a picnic, don't you think? It won't be much further until we reach the river. What a wonderful spot for us to have lunch. There are so many butterflies out today. They must be working hard, tending to all the flowers. I can't wait to see the wildflowers in bloom this year. In fact, some of them are already blossoming. Look! Here we are. The sunshine looks so beautiful on the water. The grass is nice and soft here. The perfect place for us to enjoy our picnic. Here, let me lay out the blanket. Have a seat. I'll bring out the food that I made for us to eat. Let's see. Finger sandwiches, fresh fruit, pasta salad, and strawberry shortcake. Yum! I hope you like the food. I spent the last few days thinking of what to make for today. Ever since you told me that you wanted to have a picnic with me. Thank you for planning this trip. I'm happy to accompany you wherever you want to go. But I especially enjoy when you plan trips for us like this one. I haven't enjoyed a day by the river since... well... oh, never mind. I, don't want to bother you with stories about my past. What? Well, I mean, if you're really okay with it... well... what I meant was... I haven't spent a day by the river since the day that the village was attacked by the marauders. That was... many, many years ago. When I was a child. I was playing down by the river with my brothers and sisters. We had been playing all afternoon. Then, in the evening, when the sun was going down, we saw the smoke from the fires coming over the crest of the hill. By the time we ran back there, the fires had already claimed most of our homes, and the marauders had claimed most of our families. My father survived, but my mother was taken away, and we never saw her again. They also took my eldest sister. We don't know where they are now, or if they're okay, or even alive. I'd like to think that they escaped to somewhere better, you know? That's why they never came back here after we rebuilt the village. They're probably too happy to leave and think that we were all killed in the attack. So they probably think they have nothing to come back to. That's what I'd like to believe, at least. And my father, well, he didn't take the loss of my sister and mother very well. He desperately tried to appeal to the king's court to form up a small party of the king's guard, to get back the villagers that were taken captive. But we were in the middle of the Azurite War at the time, so the king's army had no men to spare. My father went off on his own to find my mother and sister, leaving me to care for my younger siblings. He, never returned. So I stayed with my little brothers and sisters and helped the other townsfolk rebuild the village from the ashes. Eventually, as my brothers came of age, they went off to join the king's army, now that the war was over, to defend the kingdom from any future threats. My sisters were married off to other members of our village, given the absence of our parents to arrange a marriage, but I protested the idea for myself. I was already old enough to refuse, given that I was previously occupied with raising my siblings until then. It became clear after a while that I had no place left in my own village, and that I had no more family to care for. So I began traveling from village to village, looking for work. And well, that's when I bumped into you in the town square of Sarvadell. You were so kind even then. And when you told me that you had a position to be filled on your staff, I was happy to accept the offer. Although, I'll admit I was pretty surprised to find out that you lived in that estate all alone. I didn't realize that I'd be the only member of your staff. But either way, I'm still glad to have been given this opportunity. And I really enjoy being able to be your companion as well as your housekeeper. When you told me that you'd been all alone in that large estate until you hired me, I thought it must have been very lonely. And, well, As I mentioned before, I knew quite well the sting of loneliness. It warms my heart to think that I might keep you from feeling that sting. Oh my! I've rambled far, far too long. Please forgive me. Here, eat up. We did come out here to have a nice lunch by the river after all. And besides, if you're going to keep me around for as long as you said before, then we have lots of time to learn more and more about one another. But for now, let's just enjoy the sunshine, Oh, hello there. I was just preparing some vegetables for the stew I'm making for dinner. You're welcome to keep me company if you'd like. I certainly don't mind. You know, you lived here all alone in this large estate all by yourself. And before you brought me to live here, I don't think that you were getting proper meals. Am I right? Everyone should know how to make delicious home-cooked meals for themselves. If anything were to happen to me, or I were to become indisposed, I fear that you might go hungry. Here, let me teach you a little bit about cooking. I'll walk you through the steps, okay? Now, I've already finished dicing up these potatoes and onions, and we'll chop up the carrots in a little while. Now over here we have our meat and spices. The beef is fresh from a local farmer from the village. See how well marbled it is? Those white veins of fat mean that the meat will be extra tender once the stew is finished. Now I'm going to season the meat generously with salt, pepper, and balsamic vinegar. Now I've had this pot over here on the stove heating up specifically so that it will be nice and hot once we get ready to add the first of our ingredients. Let's go ahead and put our meat in there so that it can start to get nice and caramelized. Perfect. Okay, now in goes the onion, garlic, and potatoes to get nice and brown. There. It already smells delicious. Someone once told me long, long ago that you can never have enough garlic when it comes to cooking. Now, we're going to leave those alone for a little while, but we'll come back to them soon enough. We don't want the carrots to be mushy, so we won't add those for quite a while, towards the end of the cooking process. But now we need to make the base for the stew. Here we go. I made this tomato paste earlier in the week, fresh with the tomatoes from our, your garden. It's got lots of delicious spices in it, so it will contribute perfectly to the stew. Someday, I'll teach you how to make that as well, just in case. Alright, so now, for the base of the stew, we have wine, tomato paste, flour, beef stock, and our spices. First, we'll add the flour and tomato paste. Now let's add our wine and our beef stock. And finally, the spices. Sugar, bay leaves, thyme, onion powder, and more salt and pepper to finish it off. Now, let's give it a good stir to get everything mixed together. This simply smells heavenly. In about 2 hours, we'll be ready to add the carrots. It will simmer for a little bit after that, then voila! Dinner will be served. I'm going to cut up these carrots so that they'll be ready when the time comes. Oh, I nearly forgot to mention. A messenger came by earlier today and left that letter for you. He wouldn't say who it was from or what it was about. I don't recognize the crest on the outside of the envelope, so I don't suppose I have a guess either. Why don't you open it up and see what it's about? What? It's for me? That's certainly strange. Let me have a look if you wouldn't mind. Calida of House Asfáleia, it is with a heavy heart that I send this message to you. It is my hope that this letter should find its way to you, as your whereabouts have been uncertain since the end of the Hyclatian War. I write this message to inform you that your eldest sister Yurabel, as well as your mother, matriarch of House Asfáleia, Lady Corinne, have been discovered alive. The reason for the urgency in this correspondence is that they are currently being tried for attempted murder for the botched attack on the Emperor of Hyclatia, to whom they had served as slaves in his manor since the beginning of their captivity, shortly following the Hyclatian marauder attack on the village. A failed attempt at poisoning the Emperor has led to the public announcement that they are to be executed by the end of the coming cycle of the moon if no one from the village comes to their defense. The Hyclatians, while barbaric, believe strongly in debate and a fair trial. Your other siblings have been gathered to speak in your mother and sister's defense on the day of the trial, and it's with this information that we humbly request your presence as well. As the current matriarch of House Asfáleia, your testimony shall play a valuable role in the negotiation of the trial. With the highest regards, your younger brother, Obena, of House Asfáleia, Knight of the King's Royal Guard. My mother, my sister, they're alive. Oh my, what am I gonna do? This is so much to think about. I need a moment to think. Please forgive me. I need to be alone for a while. I'll be back down in a few hours to finish preparing dinner. I'm terribly sorry. I have to go try to understand all of this. Huh. I'll never get this right if I can't even hit the outside of the target. Oh, you startled me. I didn't quite see you there. Oh, yes. I know that it's quite early. I wanted to be out here before sunrise so that I'd have some extra time to practice. Oh, What am I practicing? Well, after getting that letter from my brother, I need to go defend my family. Obena was very clear in his letter. The Hyclatians have my mother and sister. Alive. I have to do what I can. Right now, since my mother has been gone, I've been the acting matriarch of House Asfáleia. Hyclatian law dictates that the acting matriarch or patriarch of a house will speak on behalf of all the other members of the house and is trusted to have the best judgment based on seniority. It's archaic, yes, but they won't listen to the testimonies of any of my other siblings. I just know it. It's crucial that I be there. Although, truth be told, I'm not even sure that even with my testimony that the Hyclatians intend to let my mother and sister live. I feel strongly that this trial is just a formality before their inevitable execution. The Hyclatians are strong believers in the old law, you know. They have many traditions that most races see as outdated and barbaric. But to honor those traditions, they do believe strongly in a trial of peers. I've even heard of actual murderers going free based on the jurisdiction of the audience. They were all swayed by the testimony of the accused's family. Usually, the house patriarch or matriarch would offer a bribe of sorts to the Hyclatian Empire, such as producing extra crops for less gold, should they be a house of farmers. It often carries the favor intended, but sadly, I have nothing to barter except my own service. I can't imagine defending someone, even a family member, if they were to have actually committed something as cruel as murder. But my sister and mother, they're slaves. They're not cold-hearted killers. They just wanted their freedom. They don't deserve to be held captive any longer. And I know that my mother and sister wouldn't have sought a violent means to an end had the man who keeps them been good to them. They'd never bring harm to an innocent soul. Never. It's not the way of House Asfáleia. Both of my parents made that extremely clear from the time that we were all very young. So, since I know I have nothing of value to barter, there's very likely little chance that I will be able to persuade the jury to let them go. And although he did not mention it in his letter, I know that my brother Obena and I are of the same mind. He is likely preparing for exactly what I am preparing for now. To have to fight for their freedom. The Hyclatians have a very well-known law. The law states that anyone accused of a crime can win their freedom by besting the champion of the Hyclatian court in combat. If the accused is successful, and they kill the court's champion, then they earn the right to freedom if they should choose it, or to take the place of the court's champion. If the accused are not fit or strong enough to fight for themselves, the leader of their house can fight in their place. Of course, if the accused or the house leader dies in combat, well, the Hyclatians consider the debt of blood and justice to be paid. Obena is likely planning to step in to fight, but they will only allow him to do so if I, as acting house leader, either do not appear at the trial or verbally give consent for him to take my place. And I cannot lose another member of my family. I will not forfeit the right to combat to Obena and risk his safety when it's my duty as the acting house leader. I just need to learn how to fight before I leave is all. I don't have much of a chance either way, so the fact that I don't have a lot of time to prepare likely won't make much of a difference. It will take a stroke of luck and cunning for me to be able to defeat the court's champion. Mostly luck. It wouldn't hurt to know how to use some of the weapons they provide, though. I've been practicing all morning with a bow and arrow that I found on one of the displays in your weapon room. I'm terribly sorry for not asking beforehand. I certainly hope that I haven't offended you. It's just, I tend to act rashly when I'm not thinking clearly or I've got a rush of adrenaline. Please forgive me. But since you're awake now, I was meaning to ask you, actually. I mean,
Please, please don't feel obligated to say yes. I know it's quite rude of me to impose such a question like this on you, but would you mind training with me a little? I apologize if it's forward of me to assume that the weapons in your weapon room have ever been used, especially by you. But if you've gotten any knowledge of battle or combat, I could certainly use all the help that I could get. If I remember correctly, my father told me tales of the Hyclatian trials by combat. He said that the weapons scattered around the arena are the weapons most commonly used at the current time by the Hyclatian army. When they attacked my village, I remember the soldiers carrying spears, bows, and large curved swords. The name of those swords always escapes me. Oh, yes, those ones. You don't have any of those in the armor room, so I suppose you would have to teach me how to hold one of the other swords from your collection. My plan right now is to run to the nearest bow and arrow. I venture a guess that if I can at least keep a fair amount of distance between me and my opponent, I may be able to fire off a lucky shot and hit him in the neck, or at least injure him too badly to continue fighting. The Hyclatians are large and muscular, and the court's champion is always a towering brute, so my arrow will have to have a lot of force behind it in order to do any sort of harm to a man like that. And my arms are dreadfully weak in their current state. But there's nothing that can be done about that now, I suppose. Gods help me. It will take a miracle for me to be victorious, but I suppose, even in the worst of scenarios, even if I lose the battle, the blood price will be paid, and my siblings will have a mother again. I will have died with honor and courage, and I will have brought honor back to House Asfáleia. I can tell by the look of concern on your face that, well, you have some concerns. I'm very sorry, and I'm even more sorry that this may be the last time that we get to see each other. I've done you a terrible disservice by abandoning you like this, and it's very ungrateful of me to do when you've been so kind and opened your home to me so unconditionally. But I simply have no other choice. I owe you more than you will ever understand, and I'm so insanely grateful to you for the opportunity that you've given me here. And even now, you're so kind and so generous, offering to help me prepare for a battle that's not even yours to fight. It will truly break my heart to part ways with you tonight after our training is over, but I must begin to make my way to Hyclatia at sunset. Goodbyes are always so hard, you know? So, let's wait until tonight to say our final farewell, okay? Thank you again for offering to come with me to Hyclatia. It's really more trouble than I could have ever imagined. But if you have as much sway politically as you say that you do, well, then it's possible that you might be able to help me argue the case for my sister and mother to go free. Maybe even if you're persuasive enough, they might not even make one of us participate in the trial by combat. I suppose you might say that I'm just a little nervous is all. A part of me is delighted to see my mother and sister again, and that they're alive and for the most part safe. But I feel an uneasiness inside my heart that makes me feel like I won't be able to leave with everyone that I love. It just seems too easy, you know? My village, my family, We've all seen such hardships. It doesn't ever seem like anything good ever comes without paying such a bitter price for it. Say, I don't mean to be such a downer. In fact, there's something that's been on my mind quite a bit lately. I was meaning to bring it up to you, but, well, that was before the letter from Obina was delivered. And my thoughts have been elsewhere until now. But since we've got this entire carriage ride to Hyclasia, just the two of us, I thought now might be a good time to bring it up. I apologize in advance if it's too forward of me to be prying into your personal life. And if you're uncomfortable discussing anything that I'm about to mention, then please, by all means, don't feel as though you're obligated to disclose anything to me. And should you ask it of me, I'll never speak of it again. But, well, I'm almost ashamed to admit, because it feels as though I've done something in secret. But a week or so ago, while you were away attending to business, I was doing some cleaning in the library, and I started to take a few of the books off of the shelves and browse through them. Many of them did not have titles or authors printed on the covers, and the contents were scrawled with an ink pen. So I gathered that they were journals, possibly of the historical nature. I guess I assumed that they would have some documentation as to the history of the castle which you reside in. And my curiosity about the castle has been driving me crazy ever since I first began living there. The mystery of someone like yourself living in a castle so large and all alone, it's just a trifle strange is all. And, well, while I was looking through the books, I came to realize that they were written by a woman. From the way that she expressed herself, I would venture a guess that she was young at the time that they were written. But the books are all quite aged, and I would assume that their owner has long since passed away of old age. Was she the previous owner of the castle? I don't mean to pry. Was she a relative of yours? Maybe a family friend? Ah, I see. Since you're smiling a bit and telling me that's not exactly right, I guess that you're not angry with me for looking through the journals. But also, I'm at least a little bit correct about the identity of the author. Ah, I see. So she was the previous owner of the castle. But not a relative, you say? So you inherited the castle from her because she trusted you with it. How very peculiar. Oh, I'm sorry. I hope that wasn't rude of me to say. I don't mean to offend, it's just I've never heard of someone leaving a castle to someone who wasn't a close relative. But I suppose she mustn't have had any closer living family, which would explain why there isn't anyone else living there. How, if I may ask, did you meet her? You bumped into each other in the woods. That sounds like something out of a storybook. So, if she's the previous owner of the castle, why is it that there aren't any portraits of her anywhere in the hallways or corridors? If the castle belonged to her and her family, don't you find it a bit odd that there aren't any pictures of her about the estate? Oh, I see. You took the paintings down because you miss her? She must have been very special to you then. I can see it in the ways that the corner of your eyes wrinkle from your smile when you talk about her. Before she passed away, was she beautiful? I mean, in her younger years. She must have already been quite old by the time the two of you met. What did she look like when she was younger? In the portraits, I mean. Oh wow. Crimson-colored eyes and mossy green hair? She must have been absolutely gorgeous. In fact, I think I've met someone like that before myself. I can't quite put my finger on to as when it was exactly, but I'm almost certain that I met a woman with crimson-colored eyes and mossy green hair before. But when? Oh, never mind. It's not that important. Anyway, I saw in the journals that she mentioned that she was from a royal family of some kind. I wondered if she was a relative because, well, I was wondering if that meant that you were also from the same royal lineage. I thought that might have also been the diplomatic sway that you were planning on using in the negotiations with the Hyclatians. I realized after reading the journals that, well, I hadn't ever bothered to ask you about yourself or your family. And I felt it was a little strange for me to be living alone in a castle with someone I hardly know anything about. So thank you for sharing all of this with me today. We still have a ways to travel, and I think my nerves are getting the better of me. If you don't mind, I think I'm going to take a little nap before we get there. Hello there. Oh, all this? Oh, don't mind me. Just peeling all of these apples before dinner tonight. What occasion? Why, for All Hallowe'ntide, silly. Haven't you ever celebrated All Hallowe'ntide before? Oh, I see. I've heard of Samhain before as well. I apologize if I've spoken out of line or if I should be preparing the castle in some other way. Oh, All Hallowe'ntide? Well, you see, like Samhain is a festival, celebrated this time of the year by many families and villages in the area. Although, admittedly, from what I understand, Samhain is a foreign festival that isn't native to this culture. Whereas All Hallowe'ntide has been practiced here since the foundation of the villages centuries ago. All Hallowe'ntide is also known as All Hallows' Day, a feast celebrating the incoming winter season and the end of the warmer months. Traditionally, shops would display Allen apples. Oh, Allen apples? They're these large, highly polished apples. The kind that you'd imagine a witch cursing in a storybook. On the day of All Hallowe'ntide itself, these apples are given as gifts to each member of the family as a token of good luck. Older girls would place the apples under their pillows and hope to dream of the person whom they would one day marry. A game is also played at All Hallowe'ntide using apples. A sort of reverse apple bobbing. To play, a wooden cross piece is nailed together and 4 apples are hung from each end. Candles are secured on the end of the wood. The idea is to grab the apple with your mouth without getting splashed with hot wax. It sounds pretty unpleasant when you put it into words like that, I suppose. But I promise that it's all in good fun. But there's also a less tedious game called Snap Apple. My brothers were quite fond of that one. To play, a single apple would be hung from the ceiling on a sturdy string. All of the boys would gather beneath the suspended apple, leaping as high as they could, while trying to take a bite out of the apple. The first boy to actually take a bite from the apple was believed to be the first in the group who would marry. However, his future spouse was not revealed by the game, leaving all to wonder whom the lucky future spouse might be. Oh, there is also the tradition of throwing a chestnut into the fire. We do this to emphasize our desire that the 12 months ahead will be full of good fortune. Formerly, the tradition was that if the chestnut popped in the fire, then you would be expected to die in the next 12 months. But I suppose that might be a bit too gruesome for modern times. So the meaning has been changed to be more accommodating, I guess. Another favorite tradition involves melting metal until it's a liquid and throwing it into very cold water. When it cools, the metal makes a shape that is different almost every time. It was thought that the shape could predict the future, possibly showing an unmarried girl who her future husband might be. The shape of the metal was said to show the future husband's job. So if the metal was shaped like a fish, he might be a fisherman. If it were shaped like a brush, he might be a road sweeper. And so on and so forth. A silly little game, but fun to play nonetheless. Me? Oh no, I was never much one for the games involving romance. I was always too busy anyway. Being one of the eldest siblings, I was often in charge of preparing the food for the celebration. Oh, and children and women would dance around a village fire, writing their names on rocks and placing them in and around the flames. When the fire started to die out, they would all run home as fast as they could, because if they stayed out beyond the dying flames, the headless woman in white and the tailless black sow would devour their souls. Don't worry. That particular legend is just a story told by the village parents as a mean to ensure that the children would return home safely and as early as possible. There was even a little rhyme for it. Home, home on the double. The tailless black sow shall snatch the last one. The following morning, all the stones containing villagers' names would be checked. If, however, a stone was missing, the person who wrote their name on the stone would die within 1 year. People also tend to avoid churchyards, stiles, and crossroads, since spirits are thought to gather there on that night. So anyway, I've prepared a special meal for the two of us to enjoy together this evening. Please, relax by the fire on this beautiful night. I'll call you once the food is ready. Greetings. If you're reading this, then it's likely that the carriage driver has followed my instructions and has begun the journey back to your estate. It is also very likely that I am already in Hyclatia, as I asked the driver to drop me off in a village very near the Hyclatian border, so that I could proceed on foot. I am terribly sorry for any distress that this decision might have caused you, as I can see by your attitude of determination that you truly wished to help both my family and myself. But after much consideration, I found that the thought of losing not only my family members that I love, but also the potential for a harsh Hyclatian punishment to befall you for attempting to intercede, well, to put things plainly, it was just too much for me to bear. I find it a more tolerable thought to entertain the idea that the only one who needs to sacrifice themselves should be me. I cannot say for certain whether or not the Hyclatians will be amiable to entertain my negotiations, but I can say for certain that I am not willing to have the blood of my family and those who I care about deeply on my conscience for a foolish decision that I choose to make. That's why I've decided that if the Hyclatians are unwilling to negotiate, that I will willingly participate in the battle of champions against their chosen warrior. In my mind, the worst outcome will be that I lose my own life, but the ones that I love will go free. The freedom and happiness in those around me is paramount in comparison to the fear that I have for my own safety. I know that you may think this is a rash decision, or that I'm being terribly rude in declining your incredibly selfless offer to help me in my journey. But you see, this was not a decision that was made from a place of ingratitude. In fact, there's no words that I could find to describe what your willingness to fight for not only me, but also my family, to whom you owe no loyalty. Well, there are no words to describe what that gesture means to me. And had the stakes not been so high, and my confidence that the Hyclatians will not be so lenient, I would have gladly allowed myself to take you up on your offer to barter on me and my family's behalves. But as I said before, I simply cannot bear to live with the idea of what punishment might befall you, should the Hyclatians enforce their own barbaric justice regarding the idea of an interloper in a matter of an executionary trial. And please, do not think that it is not without a heavy heart that I have chosen to part ways with you. The decision weighed greatly on my mind and my spirit, as I turmoiled for hours with the choice. I wish it was with great certainty that I could tell you that I will one day return to the doorstep of your estate, but remorsefully and in good conscience I cannot. I will not say with certainty that the gods may not smile upon me, and that I may not be shown a hand of mercy upon the completion of my attempts to free my mother and sister. Indeed, it is within reason to remain hopeful that I will complete this task, and then someday return to your home, to you. You see, among the many things that I have left unsaid between us, there is one detail of which I regret keeping to myself most of all. There are many things that I have held my tongue against, for fear of stepping out of line. Of all those things unsaid, the thing that I wish that I had said the most were about the things that I felt for you. The things that I wished that I could say to make you understand how I truly feel about you, and how I want to be a part of your life forever. You see, over the time that I've spent with you, I've felt a connection to you growing that I've never felt for anyone else. I can't say for certain, but if I were to guess, I would say that the connection that I feel to the feelings that I have for you would be, well, love. I've never felt the way that I do for anyone else, as I said before. I have felt love for others, yes. I have felt love for friends, for family. But truly, never the kind of love that I believe I have developed for you. And if that's inappropriate of me to say, then it's with great sincerity that I apologize if I have offended you. But if this truly were to be the last remaining mark that I have to leave as a memory of our time spent together, it would burden me that I would part ways with you while leaving these things unspoken. But it is also because of these feelings that you are too precious for me to endanger. And if fate should smile upon me, and I should find my way back to your door, I certainly hope that it would be with open arms, even if you don't feel the same type of love in return. It would be enough just to know that I can remain there with you, keeping you company in that vast emptiness. So please, do not be troubled for me. Remain hopeful that I may receive the blessing of the gods in my endeavors, so that one day I may once again serve you and find my way back to your doorstep. Sincerely, Calida of House Asfáleia. Oh, good morning. I trust that you slept well? Even with the sleep that I got on the carriage ride over here, along with the sleep that I got last night, I can't say that I'm feeling terribly rested. My stomach feels like it's full of knots. I suppose that's just my nerves acting up, as one might expect, I suppose. After all, today's a very big day. One that will determine the fate of my family and the future of House Asfáleia. But I feel that I must be the most fearless on today of all days. I have a lot at stake in today's trial. And even with as nervous as I am, I feel a little better, knowing that you're here to support me through the whole thing. Really, it truly was such a kind gesture for you to come with me to such a ghastly event. You certainly owe neither me nor my family any such courtesy. But out of your own generosity and goodwill, you've given your time and energy to attend this trial. That means more to me than words will ever be able to express. But since I have nothing other than my words to offer at this moment, again, I would like to express my gratitude. Oh, what's this? You say that you have something that you'd like to give me before we leave for the Citadel. Well, alright. I feel as though you've given me so much already. I almost feel guilty accepting anything more from you than you've already afforded me. But I shan't disrespect your kind gesture by refusing it in such a show of kindness. Oh, a letter. With the Hyclatian seal imprinted in wax. How strange. Shall I open it and read what's inside? Or am I meant to save it for some time during the trial? So I can read it now, then. Alright. By the order of the High Council of the Hyclatian Order of the City by the Sea, the record will show that by the way of an amiable agreement, today's trial by negotiation and combat has been cancelled, and is no longer to commence on today's date, the 4th day of the Season of the Mist. According to the ancient policy of a higher and more divine order, the proceedings of today's trial are to be as follows. First, the captives whom are to be tried hailing from House Asfáleia shall be released with a full pardon, as their transgressions have been forgiven in the eyes of those most holy, lest further retribution fall upon the council and the city of which they preside. In the name of Galeus, the holy judge and beholder of justice has decreed it. On this day, the Hyclatians will allow those of House Asfáleia to go free. The accused shall be escorted back to the village from whence they were first abducted, and provided with a signed agreement that no further persecution or retribution will be pursued on the part of the land of Hyclatia, with regards from the Tempest, the High Priest of the Hyclatian Temple of the Divines. I don't know what to say. Where did you get this? When did you get this? I know that you said before that you might have some political pull, but I had no idea that you would be capable of something like this. My sister, my mother, where are they? On a carriage on the way back to my village. By the gods. No, please, don't apologize. Yes, I would have loved to have seen them before they went back home. But that doesn't even concern me, knowing that I'll be reunited with them safe and sound, and no less without having to worry about the outcome of the trial. Oh, I'm simply so elated right now. Oh, please forgive me. That was terribly out of line for me to embrace you like that. I don't know what came over me. Elation, I suppose. Again, please forgive me. I didn't mean to let my happiness cloud my judgment like that. But, before it slips my mind again, thank you. I could never ever find the words to express how grateful I am. So all I can offer you is complete and total honesty. It's the very least that you deserve. But for now, it's the most valuable thing that I have to offer you. I don't know what the future may hold. But I feel strongly that given the evidence of your gesture in this monumental favor, that you certainly may be welcoming to the idea of what I'm about to share with you. If indeed the news is not welcome, then I hold fast to the truth that I shall not show remorse in sharing these things with you, only in that I do not have more to offer as a token of my appreciation. You see, no matter what path you or I may choose to follow, no matter if that path is to split or to stay the same, I would want you to know how I really feel about you, and why I chose to stay so eagerly with you in your estate. You see, I love you. These feelings have been growing inside me since the day that I first set foot inside of your home. Your kindness, your patience, the way that you put the well-being of others before yourself. All of these things. These are just a few of the reasons that I've fallen in love with you. Until the day that that letter was delivered, it was my hope to spend the rest of my days serving you and living alongside you as I aided you and tended to the castle. When I received that letter, I felt as if my heart were being torn into pieces. I knew that no matter what the outcome of the trial was, there would always be the chance that I might not ever see you again. The thought of being apart from you was a thought I dared not to entertain, lest it break my heart beyond repair. I feared that no matter the outcome of the trial, that I might lose the chance to actually have a future by your side. For days now, I've been riddled with anxiety, wondering if I'd ever see you again after today. But surely, you've given me a gift that I could never imagine to have asked for. For that, I owe you the world. I'm deeply sorry if you find this to be inappropriate, but I feel that it needed to be said. If you'd have me, I would gladly spend my life by your side. That's all that I can offer to someone who has blessed me with such a wonderful life, and such a precious gift. I will see to it that my family is safe and cared for. But then, if you'd have me, I'd like to return to your service at the estate. There's no other place that I would rather be.